Welcome back, YouTube. You're on S Motorsports, and today we got a new mod that's gonna go right here. All right, guys, so like I said, we got a new mod, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. Like I said, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe so we could grow this channel and have fun together. So, like I said, we got a new mod. It is the Corvette C8 LT2 Intake. I'm pretty excited about this, as this is a pretty cost-effective mod compared to the MSD intakes. We'll do an unboxing as well. This is the part number. I got this on Rock Auto. I'll put the link in the description. I mean, way cheaper, and obviously I'm gonna be doing all the mods myself, and I'll walk you through all the mods that I'm gonna be doing and how I do them, so you guys can see exactly how it's done, and you guys can do it yourself as well. So let's get this unboxed. I have taken it out before and peeked at it because obviously I couldn't wait, but let's take a look. Like I said, I got this from Rock Auto. It was packaged very nicely. You know, it's got this foam insert and everything, so it's not gonna get damaged. But I mean, whew, look at that. Now, I think once it's on, I think it's gonna look good. Like some people are gonna throw a cover over this, which I'm not going to. That doesn't bother me. I think it's gonna look pretty awesome on the car. So take a look at that. So obviously we got to do some modification to this area, so it clears the fuel pump, but that's just grinding down these ridges, which shouldn't be that big of a deal. And then I'm going to also try and reuse the sound deadening, or you know, call it the injector padding to muffle the injectors and insulate the intake. I'm going to try and reuse that as much as I can. If I can only use a little bit, so be it. But I'm gonna, like I said, reuse as much as I can, which I might have to take out some of this to clear that padding. I'm gonna modify the intake more than the padding, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to take out any padding in the back to clear the intake itself, even after taking the ribs out. So I got all new gaskets. I'll put those, show you those part numbers when I bust those out, and new intake gaskets as well. And I'll put those links in the description as well. So obviously, a lot bigger intake. I don't have the exact numbers. Maybe I'll put them up on the screen, but I believe this plenum volume is 14 liters compared to 11 liters. So it's a substantial amount larger. And just obviously we'll take a compare when they're side by side as well. But you know, the main difference, we got, this is the PVC line, or you know, this is sticking up a little higher, which I got a connector that worked good. Took me a little bit to find that, which I'll try and link that in the description as well, which I think I got that off eBay. So yeah, and obviously MAF sensor is going over here. We got a relocation harness. So there's a few things, but it's really nothing that is that big of a deal. And like I said, for the bang for the buck, it's gonna be good. Let's jump to it. I think the first step that I'm gonna do is break down the engine. I kind of got things a little set up here. I got a new light so I can get good light in the engine bay. Obviously, we just put the Rotofab intake on. We got to take this hose out, and we got to take all this cover off, and I'll just time lapse through that. We'll get everything ready, and then we'll start tearing the intake apart. And I want to have the intake off, so as I'm modifying this intake and grinding off, I can do test fits to make sure I know I have enough material taken off before I kind of do the final assembly and clean it all up. So yeah, all right, let's get to it. Also, if you didn't notice, the Rotofab intake didn't get any less sexy on here. So yeah, still love it. So I grabbed a flashlight so we can look inside. I don't know if you can see. No, there's a little lip, call it 3 inches in there. I mean, it's not bad. I think if you guys are watching this video, you've kind of taken a look at the GPI videos that they did talking about this, that the porting on these manifolds didn't really gain a whole lot. So that's why I'm not really looking at doing any porting or anything to this manifold, just slapping it on as is. Obviously, like I said, we will be doing tuning to accommodate for this. Like I said, here are some of the other parts that I got. So we got the MAF extension harness. We got a little 90-degree elbow for the brake booster. Got some RTV, drill and tap set for this fitting. And then I found these 90-degree connectors that fit on the nipple for the PCV or catch can line. I wanted a 90-degree to try and get that so you don't have that big loop coming out. This should be everything we need. I went with this style versus the other connector, like push to connect, just because this gives me a little bit more flexibility of where to put this and I don't have to be right on. And I'm just going to run some fuel line hose in the 3/8 ID diameter, go over this and connect to the old line. So apparently the back bolts, you gotta kind of lift those up so you can pivot it and get it out. I'm gonna wrap some duct tape around the two back bolts, or electrical tape, to kind of hold them up so they don't drop into the holes basically, and it'll be easier to pull out. All right guys, so I wanted to show you what it looks like with the intake off. As I couldn't really find that many super great pictures, because I was really interested in this foam piece and what this looked like. As you can see, it's got like a little nub that sticks down. It really tries to, block all the sound. So I'm gonna try and save this portion as much as I can. And I guess I'm not really sure what to expect, but might have to cut away this portion in the back to make room for the intake, which I'm okay with, as that's kind of tucked back more in the motor. So, we'll see. Obviously I gotta vacuum this up, clean it up a little bit. You can kind of see there's a little bit of oil on there. So obviously, good thing I get in a catch can, a little oil residue. So the catch can was obviously good investment. You can see that. You can kind of see that the valve doesn't really, it's got some gunk on it, not that bad. Just a little bit there though. And wow, thing looks massive. You can see where obviously it's the LT2's got a little shorter intake runners than the LT1, and they're even across the board versus the LT1. The intake runners are very slightly different lengths, which obviously you want them the same if possible. I think it looks good. We'll run it with just the manifold, no cover, nothing. I don't want any height problems. This thing's gonna be tall enough the way it is. Ooh, yeah. Looks good, right? Except it's nowhere close to fitting. So I just kind of threw it on here to see what the little test fit is. So you can see we're hitting on the foam, not around the ports, but kind of like I said, in between the ports. It's hitting, it's hitting a little bit here in the front, and I'm assuming that's kind of the story all the way back. But as you can see, we're quite a ways off from touching in the back. So even taking down those ribs is not going to be enough. So I take it we're going to be cutting up the foam quite a bit to get that to work. But like I said, I want to try and save as much of the foam as I can. And obviously that probably means cutting out that whole back section, especially around the pump. And as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think the pump really isn't what's noisy. It's the injectors that are the noisy part. So that's why I want to try and keep the foam around the injectors to try and quiet those as much as possible, because I just would rather not hear those injectors. Obviously my exhaust is going to be loud enough where it's not really going to matter with the hood closed, but just try and make the engine sound as good as possible. So let's take it back out and we'll start modifying it. All right guys, so I got my safety glasses on, which make sure you wear. Obviously they look dorky, but they got good side protection as we're going to be grinding. So I got the intake manifold all taped up to try and prevent as much debris. I'm going to be taking all of this off of from what I found online. This seems like the main portion to get it to fit to clear the pump. And I'm going to be taking out extra material in between here to make sure I can reuse the foam insert. But we'll start with this, kind of test fit the foam and keep going from there. So we're going to try this first. What I'm using is just a 4-inch angle grinder with a sandpaper wheel on it. We'll see if this does the trick or if I need to switch to something else. I'm thinking this will make pretty quick work of it. All right guys, so I got everything ground down. I think it's pretty good. It was pretty easy with the 4-inch angle grinder. It took a little bit, but I mean, I ground it down. Hopefully that's enough. If not, I'll have to touch it up just a little bit more, but I don't want to get too deep if I don't have to. So now I'm just trying to mark out where I think I need to cut the foam piece, which I'm hoping to just cut kind of around the pump and get rid of this high section here and save as much as I can around the pump, and even keep this back section. It looks like when it goes on, that's going to be far enough back where it shouldn't matter with the intake, to try and just surround the pump and everything as much as I can, like I said, to keep the noise down. I have ground down in between each of the ports so my foam fits, and you can see it's not a very pretty job, that's for sure, but you'll never see it. So now I got the foam cut, basically cut that top off. I'm thinking that's not going to be enough. I'm thinking I'm going to have to end up taking this section out as well, right over the pump, to get it to fit. So if you plop this on now you can see it sits down in between the ports like it should, up front, around each port. It just kind of feels like it's not sitting down in the back all the way yet. As you can see, it's kind of hitting already. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to take that section out, but I want to test fit it first and see how, if these back ports are touching or not, to see if I need to take that section out. But otherwise, it's looking pretty good. I'm hopeful that I can reuse this. So next is we're gonna put that port in. All right, so I'm getting this set up. I am going to drill for the brake booster port right here. I'm setting up my drill with just a little drill bit right now, and then put some tape so it doesn't go in too far. And then we're gonna open it up with this kit that I got on, I think I got it on Amazon. It's just an NPT tap and drill set. So I got the right one. So yeah, now we'll set it up, and I'm gonna try and run the vacuum as well to try and keep as many chips out of the intake as I can. All right, now we're gonna put the tap in. I put a little bit of grease or WD-40 on there. All right, guys. So I didn't show you, but I took the bolts out. So all I did was take a punch and hit the bolts through with a punch and a hammer. They popped out really easy. But what I did want to show you is I'm doing some dry fitting on this intake, the new LT2 intake, and it's not quite sitting down flush, and I'm trying to figure out if it's because of, you know, hitting the pump in the back or if it's something else. And it dawned on me that this little casting nub here, I've read that that can be a problem for some guys. And if you look at the LT1, it is definitely smaller. It is way smaller. It doesn't stick down nearly as much height-wise. So I'm gonna take this off and see if that helps and do another dry fit. All right, so I got everything ground down. Like I said, I got the bolts put back in. They just slide right back in. You didn't have to pound them or nothing. I got the fitting all screwed in to the back side with some RTV. I put some RTV on the threads and then just kind of smeared it around as well to make sure I don't have any vacuum leaks. And I kind of did test fit with some Play-Doh, and you can see exactly where the pump hits on this, which it is very tight. So I was doing test fits without gaskets, so I'm going to do another kind of test fit with the gaskets and see how that fits. So these are the gaskets that I have as well. I got all the manifold gaskets. So this is the part number for that. I got these off Rock Auto. This is the throttle body gasket. And like I said, I got these on Rock Auto. So I'll install those next. Okay, I think the gap around the intake now, along both flanges with the gaskets in there, looks way better. So I think I'm good to go. All right, so I'm gonna remove the MAF sensor and put it in a new location. So what I got is the ICT Billet MAF extension. And then I also wanted to show you the plug that I got. So my plan is I'm still going to be hooking this up to my catch can, as I did on the old intake, but I didn't want the hose sticking way up. So to get it going in the right direction as quick as possible, I got this 90-degree fuel line connector. So it's a 9.89 millimeters, which I believe this is for fuel lines. I got this off eBay, which I believe it came from overseas, but I'm gonna hook that up to the catch can hose, and what this does is just get it's still gonna stick up some, but it's gonna get it going in the right direction instead of having more of a looping curve in it. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, so you can see what I did is I slid a piece of hose onto the old connector. I just turned this a little bit, and then I'm gonna clamp this. I'm gonna install this as one piece then. So this is what I ended up for the foam. I didn't cut anything away on the front side. I cut that all out of the manifold so I can retain all of this muffling going on. And what I did is just cut kind of flat in the back where the pump sits. And then this section hangs behind the manifold, so I left that on as well to try and capture as much noise as possible. So I can reuse this then. Okay, now I will tighten down the bolts with I'm using the torque sequence from the MSD intake manifold, and we'll get them all torqued down properly in 3 passes. I'm gonna start with like 30 inch-pounds and work up to 89. All right, guys, so I got most of it done. I got the evaporative kind of PCV lines connected back up to where they're supposed to go. Obviously, this one's supposed to go to the air box. I'm not sure if this is gonna work good or not, because this is kind of sitting a little higher now. I might have to route those underneath. And then this is, so my catch can connected up just the same for the bottom one, and then for the top one, for the out going to the manifold, this is that line. I'm gonna take this connector off and put on one of those 90-degree connectors to connect up to here. All right, guys, we got it all complete and everything buttoned up. Got everything all tied up. I put some zip ties on this for now. I wanna get some clips or something to either tape here and zip tie this down, or maybe some clips that go over these ridges to secure this so we don't have any rubbing on the fuel line. But I think that's kind of how I'm gonna run my MAF sensor wire, loop it around with the fuel line, kind of hide them both a little bit. I think it turned out really good. I did some little quick videos to see if I was gonna be hitting this on the hood. It looks like it clears fine. Surprisingly, doesn't show that it's hitting. So that's good. I actually picked up a little bit more room clearance here, as well as the intake is a little bit higher. So I haven't started the car yet. We'll get a startup clip. All right, guys, idling down just fine. Everything, no check engine lights. So yeah, I mean, I think we're good to go. Sounds good. So obviously we'll have to wait to tune it up and everything to get the, and obviously drive it. I think the install went really good. I did end up putting a tiny bit of, I took the bolts out and put a little dab of Loctite on each one, as a little nervous of those backing out just with how close the pump is to that intake manifold. Hopefully, you know, that all works out, and we'll keep an eye on it when I'm tuning it. But this fitting and routing to the catch can worked out great. It looks like it's supposed to be there. It really doesn't look that out of place now, sticking up. And then this line worked obviously the same, because it's in the same location. So yeah, I mean, otherwise, make sure to ask any questions that you guys have in the comments about the install. I'm sure I forgot a bunch of stuff in terms of what exactly I did. So feel free to ask in the comments if you got a question about this, and exactly how I modded everything. So I hope this gives some other people the confidence to do it on their own, now that you kind of see me walk through it as well. Really hopeful this picks up some good power. So until next time, thanks for joining in, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it. All right, thanks.